Hello MSFS 2020 simmers. If you have locations you enjoy when you're flying that you would like to turn the standard Bing maps into aerial 3D imagery and make this look like this, or if you are already attempting to add aerial 3D photogrammetry and you're getting this when you should be getting this, then stand by. We'll cover both processes in this video. When I first began making these MSFS 2020 SDK videos on building scenery, I had this idea that people would come in the beginning, start on chapter 1, and work their way through the book, metaphorically speaking. However, after making videos for several months, I realized that's not how YouTube works. People may start the book in the middle, in the end, somewhere in between, but they don't necessarily start at the beginning and work their way through. So because I learned that lesson, I've decided not to skip over the basics in any of my videos. The downside is it makes the videos longer, and it can be repetition for those that already know some of the content. But there's no need to worry. I've started adding chapters. You can go to the information below this video and find the chapter where you want to begin the video, or you can simply look at the play bar and see the chapters in the play bar. And with that information out of the way, we will begin. The first thing I'm going to do is show you the tools that you will need. So I would like for you to create a folder. I recommend putting the folder on your desktop, but you can put the folder wherever you want. And this is going to be our working folder. And now I've created an empty folder on my desktop, and I give it the name Working Scenery. I know when I look at this folder that the contents in this folder is the tools I need and the scenery folders in which I'm working on. The first tool I need is EARTH2MSFS mod, and I will place the link in the description of this video where you may find this mod. So assuming that you have your working folder built, and assuming you now have the EARTH2MSFS mod, I will begin. The very first step when Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 opened is go to Options. And from Options, go to General Options. And once in General Options, drop down to Developers. Developer Mode on, Apply and Save. You can't do any scenery work without SDK, so once in Developers Mode, if you do not have SDK, then go up what I call the Developers menu and go to the Help and tick the SDK Installer Core. It may take a bit for this to download, but you want to add the SDK installer. And once you've installed the SDK, still in Developers Mode, back to the Developers menu, I'm going to Help, and I'm going to download the samples. And once the sample's downloaded, we can continue on. And at this point, we want to go in and find SDK on our hard drive. Mine happens to be on a C drive, yours may be on a different drive. And in the very first layer, you can see MSFS SDK. You want to locate this installed folder on your PC. You want to open it up and find the samples that you downloaded. If for some reason your sample download failed, don't worry about that. We'll find a workaround. But I'm going into Samples. I'm going down and finding the folder that says Simple Scenery. I'm going to tick on it and copy. And now I'm going to place it in my working folder that I built on my desktop. And there we go. In the event you had issues downloading the samples, then there is an alternative method. I have made tutorials on building your own packages from scratch. The easiest thing to do though is to go to FlightSim.to. I will link the URL in the description below, and you can download the sample folders that I myself placed on FlightSim.to. If you download the scenery folders from FlightSim.to, once you unzip the folder, you want to use the one that says New Asobo Simple Scenery. That is the same scenery template I will be using in this video. Now that we have our working scenery folder built and placed on the desktop or whatever location you choose, and we have EARTH2MSFS tool downloaded, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename my simple scenery folder. This is not something you have to do, but it's something I do to help me keep my head on straight. This step is up to you, but I'm going to rename it simply putting a hyphen at the end of scenery and then add the word template so I know this is my template folder, and I'll just copy and reuse going forward. And now with the folder renamed template, I'm going to make a copy, and I'm going to paste that copy in this same folder. Now I'm going to give the copied folder a name that is relative to the area I will be working. And the purpose for that is, with a simple glance of all of my scenery folders, there will be a name in each folder that lets me know where the location is. I named my folder Patriot 6 TriStar Medical Earth. And I chose this name because I will be working at TriStar Medical. It will be an Earth file. And I will also use this same name later on to name my package. And I'll show you how that works, and it will make sense at that time. Now that we have our folder created, I'm going to open the folder. I'm going to package sources, and I'm going to delete model lib and scene. And the reason that I deleted model lib and scene is because the EARTH2MSFS tool will create a new model lib and a new scene folder. If I was doing anything else or building any other kind of scenery, I would not delete model lib and scene. However, for the Earth tool, it is necessary. And with the scenery folder ready to go, I'm going to park at a location near the area in which I will be making scenery. And now that I'm in the area close to where I want to build the scenery, the next thing I'm going to do is to go back up to the developer menu, hit options, and pause the sim. And now on the developer menu, I'm going to tick on camera and select developer camera. Now a quick note on the developer camera. If you do not know how to navigate the developer camera, I'll give you a short tutorial on that. On your keyboard, the F key will make you drop or fall. The R key will make you rise. The D key, you will go to the right. The A key, you will go to the left. The W key, you will go forward. And the S key, you will go in reverse. On your number pad, the 4 key will spin, and the 6 key will spin. Also, 7 and 8 will come in handy. After building scenery for a while, your camera tends to get a little tilted, and you can use the 7 and the 8 to adjust your azimuth. Like that. I also use my mouse to move around. And to use your mouse to move around, you want to hold your left Alt key down, and with your left mouse key depressed, you can move all around. Here's a demonstration. So I'm now in the vicinity where I want to work. And back to my working folder. At this time, I want to start the EARTH2MSFS tool by double-clicking on the icon. With the EARTH2MSFS tool open, I'm going up to the top line. I'm going to tick on the folder icon, and now I want to point this to the folder which I will be building my scenery in, and it's on my desktop, and it is in the working scenery folder. And if you recall, I named it Patriot 6 TriStar Medical Earth, so I want to open this. I want to select package sources, and this is going to be my folder because, like I said earlier, EARTH2MSFS will create a model lib and a scene which I deleted earlier. So with package sources highlighted, I'm going to select the folder, and now we're set up. The next step, I'm going to the LOD options. This is level of detail, and I'm going to tick on it. I'm going to move the lower bug from 16 to 17 and the upper bug down to 19. And this gives me 3 levels of detail: the 17, the 18 in the middle, and the 19 on top. And now I'm going to zone in to the location with the aerial 3D photogrammetry. And here is TriStar Medical at Stonecrest. I'm going to use my left mouse button and draw a rectangle around the area. So once I've drawn the rectangle, if I look at it and think that's not exactly what I want, then I will just start a new rectangle, like so. And now I'm going to tick download. This could take a few minutes, so have some patience. And with the 3D aerial imagery captured, I'm going to minimize the EARTH2MSFS tool. I'm going to look at my scenery folder, TriStar Medical Earth, and package sources. And there's the new model lib and scene. If you open the model lib, you should see data. And we do. And if you will notice, there are 3D objects in the data. It's not entirely necessary to do what I'm getting ready to do now, but I will show you a little trick. If you're not 100% sure the area you're working on has 3D aerial imagery, you can always check by ticking on a 3D object and just opening your Windows tool, and you will get a quick view of what you've downloaded, this particular tile. And even though this particular tile is a small sample, you can see that it is 3D. So we know we are good there. And now we're going to open up our tools. Up on the developer menu, I'm going to click Tools, Project Editor, and the project editor comes up along with the inspector. If your inspector does not come up, then go down to your project editor, tick on View, and then tick on Inspector. And with the project editor open, on the project editor window, go to Project, Open Project, and now we want to navigate to our scenery folder that we built. It's on my desktop, and it's called Working Scenery, and here is the TriStar Medical Earth file. I'm going to open, and I see package definitions, package sources, and a scenery project XML document. I'm going to select the scenery project XML and open. And once opened in the project editor, you will see My Company Scenery Simple. And if you tick on it, you will see various folders in there, and you'll also see the inspector light up. The information that is in the inspector is what you will see in the content manager. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a name. So when I look into the content manager, I know exactly what this scenery file is. TriStar Medical Earth. So anytime I look in my content manager and I see TriStar Medical Earth, I know that is a hospital area here. I'm going to enter my creator name. And the sample scenery photos do come with a default thumbnail. I'm going to add my own personal thumbnail. Please note, if you make a thumbnail for yourself, it has to be 412 times 170 pixels. Nothing else will work as far as I know. So I'll tick on the thumbnail and find the thumbnail I use, tick on it and open. Now that I've named this scenery project and put in my creator name, which is optional, and put in my thumbnail, which in this package is optional, I'm going to build the package. The dialog box will pop up saying modifications detected. You want to tick yes. And you wait. Just for clarity, I built a package yesterday that took 20 minutes to build. Now this PC I'm using is 1 year old. I have a 3080 GPU. I have 128 gigabyte of RAM, and I had the highest processor that I could get 1 year ago. I consider this PC to be a powerful PC for the day. It won't always be, but for right now it's a powerful computer. And even with this computer, a package took 20 minutes. So I'm telling you this so you will have patience if it takes a while. And now the package is built. I'm going up to the developer menu, tick on Window, tick on Console, and remove the console. And now on the project editor, I'm going down to My Scene, tick on My Scene, go back up to the inspector, and load in editor. Several windows could pop up. You certainly will have your scenery editor, and you need that open. You also need the objects window, and sometimes the gizmo. We won't be needing the gizmo today, but the gizmo always pops up for me. To get the object window and the gizmo up, in the event they do not come up initially, you want to tick on View on the scenery editor, Objects, and Gizmo. And now the package is built. But hang on, we got an issue here. There should be information, but instead I see unknown. Now what do we do? Well, actually, I knew this was going to happen. And this is probably where the viewers will drop in now that have already been through the beginning. They want to know how to get rid of the unknown files, because as long as it's unknown, nothing is going to occur in this project. I've been doing research on this, and I found a script that you can use that supposedly gets rid of the unknown tiles. However, it is an extremely convoluted process. You have to have Blender, open Blender, run the script in Blender, and hope everything works. And the problem is, the only video I could find that shows how to do this is 1 year old. And since that time, Blender has had multiple updates, and SDK has had multiple updates. And there was no new video available to show me how to use the script. And with that problem, I had to figure out how to do this on my own. And here is what I come up with. I'm going to close my tools. I'm going back to my working folder. And I might as well delete this because it didn't work. So let's get rid of it. I'm going to copy my template again, paste, and rename. And with the folder renamed again, I'm going back to my EARTH2MSFS tool. I'm going to make sure my path is correct, and the path is correct. Now I'm going over to my level of detail. I'm going to take the 17 back down to 16. I'm going to take the 19 back to 20. And because I've increased the size of the tiles, the file is going to be even larger, so I'm going to take a smaller area. So there's some things here that I don't necessarily need. I certainly want the hospital and the mall area across the street, so I'll make sure I have those. Reduce my capture a bit, and then I'm going to download with the lower level of detail at 16 and the upper level at 20. And with the download completed, I'm going to check my folder again. Once I open package sources, model lib and scene is in there. I'm going back to the developer menu, tools, open the project editor, enter the name TriStar Medical Earth, entered Patriot 6, going to grab my thumbnail, and now with the information in the inspector, I'm going to build the package. And the same dialog box pops up again, so I want to tick yes. And now the package is built. On the developer menu, I'm going to Window, Console, tick off the console. Back down to the project editor. I'm going to tick on my company scenery simple. I'm going to My Scene BGL. And I'm going to load in editor. And now we'll bring up the objects menu, and I will wait on the data to load. And now with the data loaded, you notice in the scenery editor, I actually have numbers instead of unknown. This means this will work now. Let's go look at the hospital. Isn't that amazing? And doesn't that look so much better than this? And now we've been successful in bringing in the 3D aerial photogrammetry. So I'm going to build an exclusion polygon to get rid of any of the AI generated buildings. For example, if you look here, you can kind of see parts of the AI generated buildings here and here, and we want to exclude those. Maybe this whole bottom section is AI generated. We'll find out in a minute. It is normal for you to see a difference in the trees when you go from the Bing imagery to the 3D imagery. It looks a little strange and you kind of have to deal with that, but on a good note, kind of gives you an idea of where the tiles are located. So what I'm going to do, I'm going up to the Objects menu. I'm going to change Scenery to Polygon. Now to build a polygon, the first thing you want to do, with polygon selected in the Objects window, tick Add. You will see an error down in the Scenery Editor, not to worry. And while holding your left Control key down, you want to use your left mouse button and click. That sets an anchor point. Now I'm going as far as I want to go. I'll go to here and I'll left mouse button click again. That sets a second anchor point. And I'll go to about here and click, and I'll say here. Now at this point I've set all the anchor points I want. I will double click, and now the polygon is built. You can move this polygon, but you don't want to. And also, if for some reason or another you get off of the polygon, like if you accidentally take your mouse and tick somewhere else, and the polygon is no longer selected, you can always go to the Scenery Editor and select Polygon. Now with the polygon selected, I'm going to the Scenery Editor. I'm going to tick on View. I'm going to tick on Properties. And the Properties window comes up. And on the Properties window, I'm going to Buildings and tick on Buildings. And it opens up Options, and I want to exclude all. And once I've excluded all buildings, I can tick the Properties window off. And now let's see what we have. I'm using my mouse wheel to scroll in. That's something I did not tell you that you can do. And I was correct. All that we were seeing in the lower part of this doctor's building was AI generated. It is now gone. And the AI generated building over here is now gone. And as you can see, that is a real building. And if we look over here, we'll see more real buildings. And this building also is correct. With everything looking like it should look with our exclusion polygon built, with the unknown tiles being replaced by known tiles, and now on the Scenery Editor, I'm going to save the scenery. And now with the scenery saved, I'm going to show you the final step, and it's a big step. Please follow my instructions precisely. Go to your project editor, tick on My Company Scenery Simple. You want to make sure the inspector lights up as it has here. And once the data in the inspector is showing and you're ticked on My Company Scenery Simple, you should have the option to build the package. So you want to build the package again. And once a package build is complete, once again you can go up to the developer menu, window, remove the console, and since we've saved the scenery, built the package, we can tick the tools off. And now we are at the final step. So I will open my working scenery folder, which allows me to see the scenery folder I just completed. I'm going to open my community folder. And here's the community folder. And now I'm going to the scenery folder and the package we just created. You will see now we have more folders, including a packages folder. I'm going to open the Packages folder. And you see a folder, My Company Scenery Simple, the same name you were seeing in the project editor. I'm going to copy this folder and I'm going to paste it in my community folder. With it now in the community folder, this will be the final step, and now I'll show you what I was talking about at the very beginning in naming the folder, in giving the folder a unique name and not just simple scenery template. I'm going to move up till I get to the top of the working scenery folder, and here is the scenery folder we just built. I'm going to copy the name. I'm going back to my community folder and find the My Company Scenery Simple, and I'm going to change the name by pasting in the name of the scenery folder. Patriot 6 TriStar Medical Earth. I know exactly what this is, I know who built it, and I know that it's an Earth file. So that is the reason I use the naming nomenclature that I use. It keeps my head straight. And now I'm going to restart the simulator to pick up our new package in the community folder. The simulator restarted and back to the location where I was working. The building is there in all its 3D aerial photogrammetry glory. And the building looks good, and it looks a lot better than the standard Bing and the AI generated scenery. Now briefly I'm going to go through what I have done, and everybody's welcome to listen, but I'm particularly speaking to the folks that are here because of the unknown error. Here is what I believe is going on. I've read in several places where the Google Earth tiles are various sizes, and it can cause an issue because they are varying sizes. I don't know exactly how many Earth packages I have built, but I have built a lot. And almost always 17, 18, and 19 will work. Almost always. However, if you run into a situation where you're getting the unknown files, you want to change your level of detail. For this video, I dropped down to 16 and up to 20, but it could be something even different from that. It's possible you could have a 15, and it's possible you could lower down to 19, 15 through 19. When you're having the unknown errors, as far as I can tell, there is no easy button. You just have to keep experimenting with the level of detail until you find the sweet spot. And by changing the level of detail, you should eventually find a sweet spot and everything work. Also, always keep in mind, you don't want to get too greedy and grab too big of an area. And I hope that answers the questions that you may have on the unknown errors. And I hope this video helps you be successful in the area you want where you're getting the unknown areas. If this has been helpful to you, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd leave a comment below. Give it a thumbs up. If you're new here and you want to learn how to build scenery and you want to find solutions, then I would appreciate a subscribe. And why I ask people to comment is because it drives the YouTube algorithm. And the more people that comment and the more people that subscribe, the more likely it is that YouTube will recommend my video to others. It's not that I'm greedy. I want to make sure that I can reach out to people that had this problem like you had. I really want an opportunity to reach out to all of the folks that have experienced this unknown error and don't know what to do. And thank you all for watching. I'm sorry the video was so long, but I wanted to be very careful and go through every step, and I wanted this video to be useful for everybody, from the first timer to the person that wants to solve the unknown objects that you see in your scenery editor. So thank you for your patience and thank you for your time. And this is Patriot 6 saying so long, but I will see you again shortly.